All right, and we are live. Welcome to the weekly BrainDrive development call live stream. Our mission here at BrainDrive is to build a superior user-owned alternative to big tech AI systems. I'm Dave Waring, and I handle the operations side here at BrainDrive.
And I'm Dave Jones, and I handle the technical side of the house here at BrainDrive.
So normally in these calls, we give the development progress updates from the previous week, and there's actually been a tremendous amount of work done on the development side in the last week, but it's been done in service to a bigger picture shift that we're going to be making here at BrainDrive. So we've realized that with the introduction of agentic models, that the infrastructure of all AI systems, including user-owned AI systems like we're trying to build, is really going to look quite differently in the future than it does today. And so BrainDrive was anticipating this. That's our modular plugin based architecture. And I think we probably could evolve BrainDrive Core, our existing open source project, to meet that, but it's not going to be built for the future. It's kind of adapting something that was built for a non-agentic AI world into an agentic AI
Mhm.
world. And now that we've seen that, we're really excited actually because we're able to leverage all of the learnings over
Yeah,
the last year to really put together something that we've incorporating all those learnings plus our view on the future. So Dave and I are both very excited about
yep.
this, but also we recognize that shifting away from an existing technology for anyone who's already using it can be painful. So if you love BrainDrive Core, there's no reason you can't keep using it. But we're going to be pivoting our project to a new open source project. And same thing, MIT licensed open source designed to build and customize on. So all the things that BrainDrive Core offered and more, and from the same team that brought you
Yeah.
BrainDrive Core. So with that, Dave and I talked a little bit about before the call and decided that instead of getting into the development details, because we want to make sure we're really crystal clear this time on the new direction, we'd use this to do kind of a retroactive on what we've learned over the last year, so we can make sure that we're encapsulating those earnings and taking them forward into the next phase of this. And like I said, we're really excited. And again, apologies for anyone who is using BrainDrive Core. The code is MIT licensed open source. So if you love it and you see the new thing and you're like, I think these guys are crazy, take BrainDrive Core and run with it. So, all right. So with that, I'll throw it over to Dave to kick us off for, just a brainstorm on the lessons that we've learned over the
Well,
last year.
if I take it from a funny note, one, we only took second prize in the innovation, so we recognize that we could
Yeah.
do better.
Yeah, and Dave's talking about a Reddit contest in the local LLM forums where we won second place.
Yeah, second place. So we clearly have our eyes on first prize. In order to do that, we have to be able to adjust ourselves. But to give Dave credit, Dave has said longer than I have that code is no longer has any value. And he's been preaching that to me for quite a while now. And I've been being a coder myself, been like, oh no, don't say that. Um, but it's painfully true. And a few of the articles that I've read recently, everybody's pinpointing to December when 5 came out. Claude Code started pushing. So there were multiple fronts on where the initiative was let's make code worthless. And they really did a great job. As a developer, if you are stuck in the previous mindset, you're about to die. You have to evolve. You have to adjust. And even like hiring your developers, you no longer can look at them and go, okay, how well do you know this language or type thing? You want to know how well can you delegate? How well can you manage a team? Because even though it's one person, you're going to have AI teams. They're coming. They're already here in some cases, but they're really coming where an agent will have its own personality, its own login, its own identity, and we have to, as our own project, identify our weak points where we didn't see that part coming. We knew modularity was going to be important, but the ability to really just have it in layers, everything is like a cake. Every layer is important. It has to know about the other layer, but it also has to be replaceable. If something happens next month and we find out that, oh my God, this doesn't work, we have to be able to take out only that piece, the project still stand, and go forward, and us be able to adjust from that.
Another thing, just to build on what you're saying, that same point, Dave, is this agentic, coding paradigm, um, is anything that is built to not just talk to it
Yep.
and get it to do what you want, like you would a person,
Yep.
basically, should be an abstraction that's easily removable, right?
Yes.
Because
Yep.
already you can just talk to it if you're using a state-of-the-art model and do a tremendous amount. And that's
Yep.
sort of the breakthrough from December that I think people in the coding world are realizing, and now people even outside the coding world are realizing. Um, that doesn't mean, because we want to really be able to run locally, the local models, especially when you're talking about consumer grade laptops, are not there yet.
Yep.
So, for example, we might want to put an abstraction in place that allows people who want to run locally to own and control everything to experience the same things that you can do with state-of-the-art agentic tool calling models. But I think it's really important that that abstraction is really easily removable, because assuming progress continues apace, which it
Yeah.
seems like not only is it continuing apace, but it's speeding up. Those smaller models that you can run locally on your laptop or maybe even a phone or other devices like a Raspberry Pi, even in the future, will be able to do this stuff. If
Yep.
that, so we need to make sure that we're not saying in that situation, well, we'll have one thing for the state-of-the-art models and we'll build this completely different thing for local models. And if you're using local models, do this. And if you're using
Nope.
API-based models, do that. We can have that option as an abstraction for you to add in, but it needs to be easily removable
Yep.
as the local AI models continue to progress.
Yeah.
Would that build
Yep.
on that point?
Yes, really, because it has to, it's like you have to address everything now to the non-technical user, because this stuff used to be only the hardcore techies were touching it like that.
Right.
Now you not only are you able to do it, but you're involved in the discussion now, because you can go, okay, that even for a coder, if you have a weak point, AI can bridge that for you.
Yeah.
It can take your weak points, turn them into your strengths, and you can leverage them with your own strengths. And so
Right.
we need software that can do that for people as well. It is take your weak point, leverage it, have observability and the ability to take action. And because I don't think agentic is done.
Yeah.
By no, and I even its current form, it's like even right now, it looks almost like, I mean, it does wonderful things, but it looks like it's not quite where it needs to be yet. It needs that ability not just to, hey, I started a script and it's running type now. It needs to be looking at whatever you're doing and it have observability and the ability to go, oh, that's my job. You don't have to tell it anymore.
Right.
That's my
There's
job.
still a little bit of like, hey, Johnny, the new intern, like, why are you over there? Because you see us over here with this
Yeah.
problem and that's your job. Like, come
Yep.
over here. Don't make us say, Johnny, this is your job. Like, come over here. That's what you were hired to do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I guess, like, I come out of all this and it's like we need observability, the ability not just from a user standpoint, but your agents need to have their own identity, their own permissions, their
Hmm.
own entity of sort. We'll call it personality, but we're not worried about, unless you really want to talk to it. But its job is like, hey, my job is to sort your email, to give you a summary of all your emails at the end of the day or the start of the day, whenever you told me my job is, and it doesn't wait for you to fire it off. It knows its job and it's okay. You got your third email. I'm going to do a summary now. So it's observing what you have going on, and getting involved in your life actively.
And this is in this observability, um, without before agents, like there wasn't this concept of
Yep.
observability. Now there is this concept of observability. And the way you're talking about it, it sounds like you're thinking about it both observability for the coding agents that we're using to build the BrainDrive project, the open
And
source
yeah.
project, and for BrainDrive owners when they're using their
Yep.
BrainDrive.
Because the key thing is like if it works in a coding atmosphere, this thing will work. This type of concepts will fly in the non-coding, because the coding's like that. Even that you do look at the big tech, they took the same mindset. If we can solve coding, we can solve everything,
Yeah.
because it's the most difficult, it's the most structured. It's like if you have so many coders willing to pay to do more coding, So they knew their audience. They knew they would pay every token worth to do it and test them out. And if you sucked, they'll tell you. They won't give you this. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like that. No, you won't get none of that. This is why they're very analytical. Look at this code this thing created. You're wrong. You don't know how to code. And
Right.
so they're that type of group of people. And so it's
And
like the perfect audience.
so it sounds like you're saying with the previous BrainDrive core, this observability wasn't really a concept in the platform at all, and we kind of need to re-architect the platform in order to give the observability that we need as a core development team, and eventually to have community developers come in. Like all that observability needs to cut across the entire architecture,
Yep.
and it's not enough just to have it for the coding team. It needs to be for everything.
Yep. That has to be built in. And it's like, I'll use the OpenClaw reference. Peter, he owned it. He created a little loop that goes around, and that's his observability. We've been, coders have been faking like that for a long time. But observability has to be more, has to be able to every message that's going along your system. It's not a loop. It's as you're taking action, action happens. It's a part of it. Just as if an individual was doing it. You have Mikey on his desk. He's doing his
Understood.
job. He gets
Yeah,
an
he's
email.
watching.
Exactly.
He's hearing over the shoulder. Oh, I know about this, guys. You're about to mess this up.
Yeah,
Whatever.
exactly.
Yeah,
He is not just his own observability, but he's recognizing the intent on the network of what's going on because he's privy to
right.
that. And then it's like he also has permissions. He has authorization to do or not do. So if something comes along that he knows he can't touch, he does it. Jimmy knows his role.
Now, do you think that the market is going to move towards not needing? It sounds like what you're saying is you need a lot of sub agents with very well-defined permissions and scope and observability around
Yeah,
what they're seeing. Do you think that's going to evolve towards you only need one model, or do you think it's always going to be like the sub agent model?
I think I think you can have both. It depends on how specific you want to be.
Yeah,
If you want to like play around and go, you know what? Mikey does my emails. That's Mikey's job. And that's all he ever does. Then great. And if you want to have a general agent that sits there and its job might be on your little AI network of, hey, whenever a message comes through and there's an error in it, normally I got to look for them. Your job is just simply on my dashboard, post the error so I can get it and do
right.
something with
And
it.
this also, like from a cost control, all that, it's like you don't need a state-of-the-art API cost model to check your email.
Exactly. And when you reduce it down to classification of a message, there's a lot of models that do that that are very small. And so suddenly you're on your network, you're running Olama, and you're getting state-of-the-art performance on a task. And at the same time, you're not using a state-of-the-art model, which is costing tokens every time, unless you really want to. And then even you can use Open Router. You can pick the smaller model. Its costs are amazing. And so you're getting away with pennies of the dollar instead of leveraging Claude to summarize an email.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, so that's a big one, observability. And anything else around AI teams that's not observability?
Um, oh yeah, that AI teams leveraging. There's a lot of code out there that just is archaic form right now. The ability, and I'm going to take the Star Trek term, assimilate. You don't want to get in there and recode their project. You don't want to sit and try to do pull requests on them or fork it and have your own. You want you want the best of every world. You want the ability to just simply, I'm going to clone it. I'm going to wrap it up in something for my network to use. So my network can communicate with this old code without changing it.
Okay, let me say this back to you to make
Yep.
sure I understand. So there's a whole lot of things out there that you're going to want to use in your personal AI system, but the code's old and crappy.
Yep.
And so, but you may not want to rebuild it from scratch, or it may have an ecosystem around it that you want to leverage, or those would be the primary
Yep.
reasons why you would not just do it
There's a
from scratch.
functionality there that I don't want to do, but it does perfectly.
Okay,
So,
fine.
yep.
So you need a way where you can introduce that to the system, your
Yep.
personal AI system, that allows it to run it quickly and easily and without having to go through the hell that you used to have to go through to run these things.
Yeah, because it used to, previous paradigm, when everybody used to do everything by hand, it's like, oh, I'll take the low-hanging fruit. I want to do scraping. Everybody does scraping. Everybody's recoded it. If you look on GitHub, there are 40 million scraping projects, each one telling you one of two things. I'm the fastest or I'm the best. And
Right.
some of them tell you both. And so you want the ability for your network to thrive to, instead of coding just another scraper, you go, I like that one. I've used it a few times. It's really good. Or my friend told me, that I'd like to read me, whatever your reason, to go, okay, I'm going to clone it. Now I'm going to put it in a wrapper so I don't have to change it. And now my entire network goes, we have scraping. And it should be,
Basically, you envision a world where the existing all the existing software out there becomes immediately usable and composable, and we can really blast off the
yep,
open source community because these AI agents are going to make it so easy to use these things. And it's just like, how do you make sure the AI system that you're going to be using them in leverages the composability and what this allows you to do,
yep, and do it
okay,
safely. Because let's
and
say,
do it
for
safely.
example, hey, you wanted to use OpenClaw in its rawest form, and everybody's read the documentation on, whoa, what a disaster that could be. But it does a lot of neat things that you might want to play with. And
Right,
this is where it's like you build it in a container. It's in its little environment now. It's basically you put it in a bubble. It knows
right.
nothing about anything else, and it can do whatever it wants. If it decides that, it gets some little virus or whatever they have floating around for these little things, or a Trojan is probably more accurately
It's
described.
a condom for the open source
It
world.
is. It really is. It's like, because we're gonna just wrap this up really tightly. We can send it message and it can do stuff, but it's never gonna see my
Okay, so
password
this, in
directly.
terms of tying this back to AI teams, what
Yep.
you're saying is this allows you to expand your team very rapidly.
Yep. You can put
Okay.
something out there for a test and feel safe that,
And before we were thinking much more of like plugins and the plugin architecture for this, but now with the agentic stuff, it really just needs a connection,
yep.
basically.
And it, because for me, this is where you get to the next step, which is open code.
Yeah.
Because the ability to, now we're going to have open code. I'm going to have it work its own environment.
Before
So,
we go
oh,
into any specifics,
okay.
um, I really just want to make sure that we understand
Yeah.
on a going forward basis the
Well,
things
no,
that
this
we're
was
trying
okay.
to.
I could tie this back, going back, because you and I
Great.
discussed we wanted to see certain things early on. And one of them was the ability for Katie, our non-tech user, to go, I have an idea for a plugin.
Right.
I want to be able to type it in human text. And I want the ability for BrainDrive to go, here's your plugin.
Right.
And I still want that. I
Right.
still want the ability for Katie to, or me or anybody to go, you
All
know what?
right. And we
Oh,
go live.
sorry.
Welcome.
Yep, no problem.
Checking the
Uh,
comments.
yeah, the ability to go, hey, I still want to do these kind of things. And now the tools are there, and that's where we get in. We're going to leverage it. We're going to simulate it, because we're not going to try to develop our own coding tool. We're
In
going to,
other words, like this is again, don't put an abstraction on something that doesn't need to be there. And now the abstraction that we had because we needed it before coding agents, we needed a drag and drop interface. We
yep,
needed these things because the coding agent couldn't do it. We may still need those things for local models, but at least the state of the art right now, and very likely fast following the local models in the future, can do this. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. A couple other points on AI teams that
mhm,
just lessons. Um, I think I made a classic mistake in pushing a whole lot of agentic coding. It's like we figured something out and let's hire 100 people. You know what I mean? And let's
mhm,
get them all here today, right?
yes. It
And
doesn't ramp up that fast.
yeah, you can't do it, right? Like you have to figure it out with one person and then you start thinking about, okay, how can I add another person and another
Yep.
person and another person to this, where I think I was pushing very hard of like, let's get 50, people here immediately and hiring them, onboard them tomorrow so they can be coding, and that ends up in compounding a lot of errors.
Well, that's a business model right there. I mean, if you are in manufacturing and you have these three people in a little factory making toys, and okay, this is great. I'm selling out. What's going to happen when I build a whole factory of these guys?
Right.
And so what do? You go out and build a factory, and it works in that. In
Right.
coding, you have so much of mental energy. It's got to be right. It's got to be, and every piece of it's got to. That's an entire process that if one
Well, yeah,
dominoes,
this is the compounding thing, right? It
yep,
compounds in both directions. If you get this right and you scale it up, man, sky's the
yep.
limit. If you get it wrong by 1%, though, 1% over 1,000 coding agents, you're dead in the water.
Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
start sinking very quickly, and you nickname that the Titanic,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
and you walk
exactly.
away really quickly, going, "I don't even own that."
Yeah.
But that,
So
like I said, but this is where we get observability for our coding team, for our coding team to know their role, to know their place, to know it's like, hey, I have a new idea, I have a concept. Let's fire that off. All I have to do is put into my network of coding teams, this is the concept we're working on.
right,
And I define its limitations, define its expectations. Um, Fully tested, you're going to need a browser and whatnot, and the ability to go, okay, that's in their hands now. You let me know when you're
right.
done.
And none of this was possible when we started building
Yeah.
BrainDrive Core, so we couldn't really architect it from the beginning for something that didn't really exist like this. I mean, I guess theoretically we could have predicted all of this, and we did predict coding agents and those types of things, but just you got to see this stuff work a little bit. You know what
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean?
yeah. Yeah. Because that's why it's like even I code in layers, code a little bit. Let's see how that goes. Okay,
Yeah,
good. Now we learn from that.
right.
Let's build on top of that. And I think we adopted the analogy of layering of an onion type coding where we're
Yeah.
going to do one, we're going to do two, three, and then we can next thing you're off and running. Which probably gets to the biggest elephant in the room. And this is where I gotta admit, not only me, probably everybody else made this mistake, the importance of AI coding, AI teams, agentic isn't about the code anymore. It is about that communication and how adaptable is that? Because you have to be able to, on Friday, have the same efficiency of communication between A, B, and C on Monday. And
I'm just, as you say this, I'm just like, all of this is the same with scaling an organization,
yep,
right? And when you add 10 more people, the thing that's the hardest is communication breaks first. If you're on the mountain with three other people, you don't need a communication
eh,
system. But as soon as you put 500 people on that mountain, if you don't have a
yep.
communication system, you're done.
Exactly. And I went the exact, I didn't go business. I went relationship. How many relationship advices are there always coming down to communication?
Yeah.
And you have a relationship, whether people like to admit it or not, with an AI. You have your functionality has a relationship with other functionality. And so if you take that same paradigm, communication is going to be the key to success. And it's you can't be boggled down by what method of communication. What's going to come down to is what's inside it. How malleable is that? We like our word nothing because it has to be able to handle nothing, and then it has to be able to handle the entire world at the same time.
Right.
So your communication, that's the only way it's going to survive what's coming. And the key to what's coming is you don't know. We don't know. But
Right.
we know that if we can handle nothing and if we can handle everything, we should be able to adapt.
Yes. And that's I think it goes back to this abstraction
Yep.
concept is it's fine to have abstractions if you need them, but they need to be easily removable.
Yep.
So I think that's a key thing. All right. Anything else on AI teams?
Um, yeah, we have to get out of the mindset of almost all AI used to be coded this way. And I'm pretty sure yeah, I use SAS as the example. You still have people building SASs, even though there's 100 people telling you how dead they are. So people can't get out of their own way and evolve. So with that is going to be that monolithic coding pattern. And I'll use inferencing with AI as a great example, is everything gets funneled down to inferencing. with an AI, and that's where the message is sent off to the AI. The problem is you have to always put more into that. RAG, you want to introduce RAG, you want to enter web searching, you want to, no matter what, it's all going to get packed into that one point to be given to the AI. And it has to, you have to get out of that way where you're no longer monolithic, but that is very modular. So the message builds over time without waiting to hear, so that you can just build it, evolve it. If you need to have, like we said, those smaller models checking in to do work for you along the way, you could get away with fast, lean, billion paradigm models along the way, and doing two calls of that to when you get to the state of the art model, when you need it for something big, you have everything perfect for it now. You have done context engineering at its finest. And so what you hand that AI to do at state of the art, it's now able to do its job 10 times better, 5 times faster than it was before, and with a much leaner context size. Now you're going to make sure that you're down below that 50K range where these state of the art models rock at 100%. And that's that key. It's like you can throw everything in it. Then you hit 60, 70, 80K of data, and that drops dramatically from 100%. You start all of a sudden you're at 80% worthwhile responses. And if you're coding, 80% is life and death to me. It's like even
Okay.
at,
So no monolith. Everything needs to be modular,
yep.
basically. And I would add to this, I think there's two mistakes people make in paradigm shifts. I think the first thing is they don't make the shift,
Hmm.
right? To your point, let's just
Yep.
keep building things the way they've always been built.
Yep.
And that's the obvious mistake,
Yep.
right? Assuming we are in a paradigm shift, which at this point I'm not sure how anyone could say we're not, but there are people out there. Okay. So the second thing that I think mistake people make though is keeping one foot in, trying to keep one foot in the old and one foot in the new, and you end up building things that don't really work well in either.
Hmm.
You know,
Yep.
if it really is a paradigm shift, like you can't convert your steam factory to electricity. Like you really do have to just build a new
We're
factory.
yeah, we're gonna build a new building over here, and
Yeah.
on when you leave on Friday, we're
Yeah.
shutting down steam. When you show up
Correct.
Monday, we're on electricity.
Yeah, exactly. And everything has to be built for electricity. I mean, and even just like the layout of the factory, for example, when everything was steam, it all needed to be built around that one big steam engine where electricity, it doesn't matter. And
Yep.
there's all these second and third order consequences that you can't predict right
Yep.
now, until people start using it and you need to be able to adapt to whatever the thing is. And so if you're building for the old paradigm, fully, you're obviously just keeping your steam plant. But the other mistake is trying to adjust your steam plant to electricity. And
Yep.
that's why we're really just saying this is a clean break for
Yep.
us and we're moving to the new paradigm.
And that's where I give you credit, a lot of credit, because I there's a good chance I would have repeated a bunch of my same mistakes. Because my first thing is a code first mentality. I'm a coder, and when I see code work, then it's like
Yeah.
I learn from it, and it's like, okay, we're gonna learn together.
Yeah.
But you sent me into a weekend with no coding, design, straight up
Yeah.
communication. So
Yeah.
for me, that was like a whole paradigm shift right there. Because I'm not going to worry about an interface. I'm not going to worry about what these objects are at all. All I'm going to do is focus on that no matter what they are, they have to be able to communicate in a certain way with a certain amount of flexibility, because then and it's like scalability because
Right.
we're gonna be able to evolve. If you do once you get from point A to point B, you have to be able to account for the rest of the alphabet in the show.
Yeah. Another way that I would say, and I think you and I are actually way more alike than different. I think a lot of people get stuck in meeting email, you know what I mean? And they just talk about things forever and never actually do anything. And as soon as they start to do something, everything falls apart, because you do have to see it. You can't
Yep,
predict everything,
yep,
but I do think in the early phases, which we're in right now, of
yep,
like a transition, really take this is the foundation is like Jeff Bezos says, there's one-way doors and there's two-way doors.
yep,
If the decision is a two-way door and it's easy to reverse, make it quickly and see what happens, and
yep,
then you can always just walk back out the other way. But if it's a one-way door, you really do have to take the time to make sure that that's the right door.
yep.
Um,
And that's what we've been doing this
yeah.
past week of not just making sure the one-way door, but that whole what did we learn and make sure we learned it.
Yes.
Because if you don't, you're apt to really repeat yourself.
Yeah, and I think also, and this is very rare, and I appreciate it, is most people would have, I think, on both sides of this, been like, oh, like we can't make another change. And both you and I were just like, oh, that's what I think we're both kind of first principles thinking is like, if that's what we need to do, then like let's not even consider doing anything else. You know what I mean?
And
Like
I got to
let's
admit,
just
it was a
go.
tough pill for me to swallow, but it was like I've been coding with AI long enough, and thankfully been along that journey so long. It was like I know I can just repeat everything so easily now. It's like it's stupid. It's like I know that code is
Well,
worthless.
that's great, right? Because we can take all the learnings now
Yep,
and leverage the new tools to like we don't have to spend another year. Like we can now like put this on
yeah.
rocket
With the
fuel.
tools that exist now, what
Yeah.
used to take 6 months to put together, it is now 6 hours,
Yeah, and
and
I would
that's
say foundation, foundation,
yep,
foundation here because going back to our if we're 1% off,
yep,
we're on the Titanic, even if it doesn't look like it today.
yep,
And there's things that there's a lot of two-way doors in there now, a whole lot more, right?
yep,
Because I mean, even if we chose one, as long as it was an open standard, like if we went with React and then decided to do Go or whatever,
yep,
like the coding agents are so good now, we could just do that,
yep.
right?
Because
So
like the installer, for example, when we got to do the installer for BrainDrive AI, especially or the previous BrainDrive, because we had the contest coming and all like that. We had to clean some stuff up so that we would be really ready for that. It was like the more I played with it, and because this was coming into December when it was starting to pick up, and I was like, we are so close where I can just code this and go
yeah,
or something like that and not worry about the fact that I've never touched the language in my life.
right, right, right. Okay, so really getting the foundation
Yep.
right, and really making sure we're thinking through that and making it as flexible as possible, but there's probably going to be some decisions that we are going to be locked into and want to make sure those are the right decisions.
Yep. And not we don't have to rush into them. And that's the thing is because we're spending so much time on like from your side, the business side, what do we want to offer? What
Yeah.
is the MVP going to look like?
Yeah.
We're defining those rather than we were,
I think that's so important, and I've spent so much time that I normally would have just gone because it would have been impossible, you know what I mean? But with the AI, it's not only like having that sparring partner, but also when you make a decision and you've got 80 docs, you can just say propagate this decision. Where
yep.
before you'd have to go read every doc
Oh,
and find the references, it'd be impossible. You know what I
yep.
mean?
That'd be
So
enough to make most mortals quit.
so it makes the planning process and the update it speeds it up by 100x. I
Yep.
mean, it really does. So we want to make sure we're leveraging all that and to our credit, as I think the kids would refer to us as boomers, I think we're moving faster than a lot of other young people that I know. So even
Uh,
in the coding
I,
world.
I challenge anybody to keep up with me. Really, still to this day. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know many people that can do what I do. I love what I do. That's the big thing. I don't treat it as work. This is my
Yeah.
golf. It always
Yeah.
has been. So
All
if
right.
we
Other lessons that you think we need
um
to discuss?
we're already practicing it, but not get built around the interface. I believe last time we were so nailing the interface, and that's because that's what the paradigm was.
Yeah.
This time around, it's we have philosophies. That's what we're focusing on, the
Right.
foundation and the stuff that doesn't come in code, that doesn't come in an interface that you can see, play, or touch. So that way, whatever we put into each place has a foundation model to work from. It has a philosophy to follow. And so whatever goes there fits everything else because it fits those intangibles.
Yeah.
And I think that's what A is going to come down to is the intangibles that are not code because the code's worthless now.
Yeah.
So did you develop your philosophy and did you follow it? That's going to be because everybody likes to break rules. So you can't win these cases. And I jokingly refer to it with my wife. I'm creating a religion because we
Yeah.
cannot break this. We're
Right.
going to have 10 commandments. You
Yeah.
follow them. Your code
Right.
has to follow them. Your agents have to follow
Right. You
them.
can't say on Sunday we're Christian and on Monday we're Muslim. It's like it
Exactly. It's
doesn't
like
work, or vice versa.
Yep, your religion's now BrainDrive. Go with it. Just don't
Yeah.
don't fight it.
Yeah. All right. Great. That's everything I was thinking of and more. So I don't know
Yep.
if there's anything else that we want to get on the
Nope,
list or
because we don't want to go forward. Yeah, that wasn't this what where this moment was about. This moment was kind of looking back and go and not and going more than, hey, we had a great time. Nope. This was about we learned a lot.
we sure did. And
And
we're going to carry all those
yep,
learnings forward. Yep. Yep. So all right, awesome. So hopefully I think we're pretty close to philosophically, where we want to be. So I think, this week is really about na really nailing that down, and Dave's already made some progress on some coding and everything. So I think we're going to be able to really hit the ground running, and we'll be back to update everybody next week, unless there's
yep.
anything else you want to say, Dave.
Nope. I think next week's going to be a fun little demo of what philosophy and religion looks like now.
Amazing. All right. With that, we'll see you next week. Thank you. And also remember, our mission is to build a superior user-owned alternative to
Yep.
big tech AI systems. And you can always join these live calls. It's open to everyone. You can visit the forums where I post the recordings over at community.